Good day everyone, especially to you ma'am. I am Ibrahim Sitiaiza and for today I'm going to discuss the case study 1 title Where did the first Catholic Mass occur in the Philippines? Did you know that Butuhan has long been believed as the site of the first Mass? In fact, this has been the case for 3 centuries, culminating in the erection of monument in 1872 near Agasan River, which commemorates the expedition's arrivals and celebration of Mass on 8 April 1521. So the Butuan claim has been based on the rather elementary reading of primary sources from the events. So towards the end of the 19th century and the start of the 20th century, together with the increasing scholarship on the history of the Philippines, a more nuanced reading of the available evidence was made. Which brought to light more consideration in going against more accepted interpretation of the first Mass of the Philippines was made, brought to Spanish and the Filipino scholars. So it must be noted that there was only 2 primary sources that historians refer to identifying the site of the first Mass. First is the log kept by Francisco Albo, and the other one is and more complete is account by Antonio Pigafetta. Diario de Torero del Veg de Magallanes desde El Cabo, C.S. Agustin, El Brasil hasta el regreso a España de la Nao Victoria, escrito por Francisco Albo, document number 22 en collection de Veg, Discrementos que Hecleron por Marlos Españoles des Defines del siglo XV, edited by Martin Fernandez de Barte, which was reprinted Buenos Aires 1945, 5 volumes for 191 to 225. A site and Miguel A. Bernard Butuan or Limasawa, the site of the first Mass in the Philippines. A re-examination of evidence, 1981, Ginaadman, A Journal of Southern Philippines, volume page 1 to 35. So, noong 16th ng March 1521, nanggaling sila sa Tandrones in a westerly course and then they saw land na nasa northwest pero sobrang swallow kasi ng tubig doon. So, pinapaligiran ng swallow yung island na yun. So, hindi nila in-approach. Tapos, later, nalaman nila na ang pangalan pala ng island na yun is they called Yunagan. So, in that same day na yun, is hindi sila nakaland doon. Siyempre, pumunta sila sa southward to another small island which is called Suluan. So, doon sila nag-anchor and then papunta sila doon. May nakita silang maliliit na bangka or kanos. Pero siyempre, umalis sila kasi nga nakita nila yung mga Spaniards na paparating. So, yung Suluan or yung island na yon is located 9 to 30 degrees north latitude. So, nung umalis sila doon, is doon sa dalawang island, nag-sail ulit sila sa westward to an uninhabited or ibig sabihin, walang nakatira sa island, which is called Gada. So, doon, sa island na yon is nagkuha sila ng supply nila wood, water, na kailangan nila sa kanilang expedition. So the sea around that island was free from swallows, and in this part hindi binigay ni Albo yung latitude ng island na ito, pero in Pigafetta's testimony, and this seemed to be the Aquada or Homonhon at 10 degrees north latitude from that uninhabited island. So they sailed westward towards a large island which is named Silani, that was inhabited, or Silani kasi is tinatawag din ito siya ni Pigafetta na Ceylon. or etong island na ito ay is marami silang gold. So, the people of that island of Mazabao were very good. So, there the Spaniards planted a cross upon the mountain top, and from there, they were shown 3 islands to the west and southwest. So, where they were told there was much gold. So, they shown us how the gold was gathered, which came in a small pieces like peas and lentils. So from Mazaba, they sailed northwards again towards Silani. So they followed the coast of Silani in a northwesterly direction, ascending up to 10 degrees of latitude, where they saw 3 small islands. So from there, they sailed westward from some 10 leagues, and there they saw 3 islets, so where they drop anchor for the night. So in the morning, they sail southwest some 12 leagues down to a latitude of 10 and 1/3 degree. So there, they enter a channel between 2 islands, one of which was called Mataan and the other one is Subu. So they sail down the channel and then turn westward in anchor at the town or which is the Lavella of Subu, where they stay many days and obtain provisions and enter into a peace pact with the local kings. The town of Subu was on the east-west direction with the island of Suluan and Mazaba, but between Mazaba and Subu there were so many swallows that the boats could not go westward directly but has to go in a roundabout way.
Good day everyone, especially to you Ma'am Tilendo. Before I proceed, I would like to introduce myself. I am John Cyril B. Kalipayan from BSP 1B. Today, I'll be discussing to you the primary source including Pigafetta's testimony on the route of Magellan's expedition. Ferdinand Magellan's expedition, which aimed to a westward route to the Spice Islands, led to the first circumnavigation of the globe. Pigafetta documented their journey, especially their arrival in the Philippines. Here are some key points of his testimony. Ferdinand Magellan and his expedition spotted land after a long journey across the Pacific Ocean. They named this land Zamal, which is known today as the Island of Summer in the Philippines. This sighting was significant because it marked their first contact with the Philippine archipelago. The island was located about 300 leagues westward of the Ladrones Islands, now called the Mariana Islands, which was the last known stop before reaching the Philippines. This discovery was a crucial milestone in Magellan's quest to find a westward route to the Spice Islands, as it signaled their approach to Southeast Asia. Number 2, Sunday, March 17. The following day, they landed on another island, which was uninhabited. The name of this island was Humno or Homonhon. On March 17, 1521, after spotting land the previous day, Magellan's fleet landed on an uninhabited island called Humno, which is now known as Homonon in the Philippines. This stop was essential for the crew as they had been at sea for months and were desperately in need of rest and supplies. Many of the men were sick and weak, likely due to scurvy and malnutrition from their long voyage across the Pacific. To aid their recovery, they set up tents on the island to care for the sick. Number 3 is Sunday, March 17. Magellan named the entire archipelago the Islands of St. Lazarus on Sunday, March 17, 1521. Ferdinand Magellan named the group of islands he had discovered the Islands of St. Lazarus. The reason for this name was that it was Lent season and the assigned Gospel reading for that Sunday focused on the story of St. Lazarus, particularly the biblical account of his resurrection by Jesus. The name reflected Magellan's deep religious beliefs and the influence of Christianity on his journey. Although this name was used for some time, it did not remain permanent. Later on, the archipelago would be called the Philippines in honor of King Philip II of Spain. Number 4. Monday, March 18. They saw a boat coming towards them with 9 men in it. An exchange of gifts was affected. On Monday, March 18, 1521, while Magellan and his crew were staying on the island of Homonhon, they encountered a small boat approaching them. The boat carried 9 local men, marking the first recorded interaction between the expedition and the native people of the Philippines. As a gesture of goodwill, an exchange of gifts took place between Magellan's crew and the islanders. This act of barter and diplomacy helped establish friendly relations. Magellan took this opportunity to ask for food supplies, and the locals promised to return in a few days with rice and other provisions. This event was significant because it marked the beginning of cultural exchange and relationships between the Spanish explorers and the indigenous people of the Philippines. Number 5. There were 2 springs of water on that island of Homonhon. Consequently, Magellan renamed the island and called it the watering place of good omen, or Aquanda la Diponi Señal. While staying on Homonhon Island, Magellan's crew discovered 2 natural springs that provided them with fresh water. This was crucial to find for the expedition, as they had spent months at sea with limited access to clean drinking water. Because of this, Magellan renamed the island and called it the watering place of God, Amen, or in Italian, Acqua della Buoni Segnali. The name reflected his belief that finding fresh water was a positive sign for the rest of their journey. This discovery was vital for the survival of the crew, as dehydration and illness had weakened many of them. The island served as a temporary refuge where they could regain their strength and before continuing. Number 6. Friday, March 22. The natives returned. This time, they were in 2 boats and they brought food supplies. On Friday, March 22, 2021, the natives who had first visited Magellan's fleet on March 18 returned to Homonhon Island, this time bringing 2 boats filled with food supplies. This event was significant because it showed the hospitality and generosity of the local people. They provided the expedition with essential provisions such as rice, fish, coconuts, and other local produce, which were crucial for the survival of Magellan's weekend crew. Next is number 7. Magellan's expedition stayed 8 days at Homonhon from Sunday, March 17 to the Monday of the following week, March 25. Magellan's expedition stayed on Homonhon Island for 8 days from March 17 to March 25 in 1521. During this time, the crew rested, replenished their food and water supplies, and recovered from illness caused by their long journey across the Pacific. This stop was crucial for the expedition's survival, as it allowed them to regain their strength before continuing their voyage. It also provided the opportunity for initial interactions and trade with the local people, setting the stage for future encounters in the Philippines. Number 8. Monday, March 25 in the afternoon. The expedition weighed anchor and left the island of Homonhon. In the ecclesiastical calendar, this day, March 25, was the feast day of the Incarnation, also called the Feast of Annunciation, and therefore Our Lady's Day on this day. As they were about to weigh anchor happened to Pigafetta. He fell into the water but was rescued. He attributed his narrow escape from death as grace obtained through the intercession of the Blessed Virgin Mary on her feast day. So, on March 25, 1521, Magellan's expedition left Homonon Island after an 8-day stay. That day, known as Our Lady's Day, was the feast of the Annunciation in the church calendar. As they prepared to depart, Pigafetta fell into the water but was rescued. He believed his survival was due to the intercession of the Blessed Virgin Mary on earth. Number 9. The route taken by the expedition after leaving Homonon was toward the west-southwest between four islands, namely Senalo, Hiunanguan, Ibuson, and Albarian. Very probably, Senalo is a misspelling in the Italian manuscript for what Pigafetta in his map calls Selion, and Albo calls Silani, namely the island of Leyte. Yunangwan, a misspelling of Yunangwan, seemed to Pigafetta to be a separate island, but is actually on the mainland of Leyte, Le or Ceylon. On the other hand, Ibuson, Pigafetta's Ibuson, is an island east of Leyte's southern tip. Thus, it is easy to see what Pigafetta meant by sailing over the west-southwest past those islands. They left Homonon sailing westward towards Leyte, then followed the Leyte coast southward, passing between the island of Ibuson on their port side and Yunangan Bay on their starboard, and then continued southward, then turning westward to Mazawa. So, after leaving Homonon on March 25, 1521, Magellan's expedition sailed west-southwest, passing between four islands, the Ceylon or Leyte, Yunanguan, Ibuson, and Albarian. They followed Leyte's coastline southward, with Ibuson Island on their left port side, and Hinunangan Bay on their right starboard. From there, they continued southward before turning westward to Mazawa, where they would have significant encounters with local rulers. Pigafetta's detailed records of this route help historians trace Magellan's path through the Visayas region. Number 10. Thursday, March 28. In the morning of Holy Thursday, March 28, they anchored off an island where the previous night they had seen a light or a bonfire that lies in a latitude of 9 2/3 towards the Arctic Pole or north, and a longitude of 162 degrees from the line of demarcation. It is 25 leagues from Zaquada and is called Mazawa. So, on March 28, Holy Thursday, Magellan's expedition anchored at Mazawa, an island where they had seen a bonfire that night before. Pigafetta recorded its location at 9 degrees 40 minutes latitude north and 162 degrees longitude. Mazawa was 25 leagues or 120 kilometers from Homonhon and became an important site for Magellan's interactions with local rulers. This island would later play a crucial role in the expedition journey, as it was where Magellan met Raja Kolapu, the ruler of Mazawa, who would guide him to Cebu. It was also in Mazawa where a blood compact, Sanduguan, was performed, signifying friendship and alliance between Magellan and the native leaders. Number 11. They remained 7 days on Mazawa Island. Magellan's expedition stayed on Mazawa for 7 days, March 28 to April 4 in 1521. They established friendly ties with Raja Colombo, who advised them to visit Cebu. During their stay, they traded, secured supplies, and performed a blood compact sa Duguan, strengthening their alliance before continuing their journey. And number 12, Thursday, April 4, they left Mazwa, bound for Cebu. They were guided either by the king of Mazwa, who sailed in his own boat. The route took them past 5 islands, namely Ceylon, Bohol, Canacan, Baybay, and Gatagan. On April 4, 1521, Magellan's expedition left Mazwa for Cebu, guided by Raja Colombo in his boat. Along the way, they passed 5 islands: Ceylon, Leyte, Bohol, Canacan, Baybay, and Gatagan. Colombo's guidance helped them navigate towards Cebu, where they would later establish tie with Raja Humabon. Number 13. At Gatagan, they sailed westward to the 3 islands of the Camotes group, namely Poro, Pasihan, and Ponson. Here, the Spanish ship stopped to allow the king of Mazwa to catch up with them. Since the Spanish ships were much faster than the native Balanghaya thing, that excited the admiration of King of Mazwas. As Magellan's fleet sailed westward past Gatagan to the Camotes Island, Poro, Pasihan, and Ponson, they stopped to wait for Raja Colombo, whose balanghay was much slower than the Spanish ships. Colombo was impressed by the speed and advanced design of the Spanish vessels, which highlighted the technological superiority of European ships compared to native boats. This brief stop allowed Colombo to catch up and continue guiding the expedition towards Cebu, a major trading center where Magellan planned to establish alliance. Number 14. From the Camotes Islands, they sailed southwards towards Cebu. After passing the Camotes Islands, Magellan's expedition sailed southward to Cebu or Zubu, a major trading center. This marked a key moment in their journey, leading to alliances with Raja Humabon, the first Christian baptisms, and later the conflict in Mactan. Lastly, number 15. Sunday, April 7 at noon, they entered the harbor of Zubu or Cebu. It had taken them 3 days to negotiate the journey from Mazwa northwards to the Camotes Islands and then southwards to Cebu. So, on April 7, 1521 at noon, Magellan's fleet arrived in Cebu's harbor after a 3-day journey from Mazwa, passing through the Camotes Islands. Cebu was a major trading center where Magellan would later form alliance with Raja Humabon and introduce Christianity, leading to key historical events. For my next topic, I'll be discussing Pigafetta and 7 Days in Mazwa. This refers to Antonio Pigafetta's account of Magellan's expedition, particularly their week-long stay in Mazwa, now called Limasawa, Philippines. In March, year of 1521, during this time, they met Raja Colombo, the local ruler of Mazwa. They exchanged gifts and held the first recorded Catholic Mass in the Philippines. Pigafetta's writings provide key historical details about this event and early Filipino society. On the first day of Thursday, March 28, they anchored near an island where they had seen a light at night before a small boat or boloto were the 8 natives to whom Magellan threw some trinkets as presents. The natives paddled away, but 2 hours later 2 larger boats, or balanghay, came. The native king sat under an awning of mats. So, on the first day, daw na March 28, in 1521, Magellan's fleet anchored near an island after seeing a light. they encountered 8 natives in a small boat or boloto and offered them trinkets, but they paddled away. Later, two larger boats, Balangay, arrived carrying a native king under a mat awning signaling his high status. On the second day of Friday, March 29, next day Holy Friday, Magellan sent his slave interpreter ashore in a small boat to ask the king if he could provide the expedition with food supplies and to say that they had come as friends and not as enemies. The native king and his companions returned ashore, bringing with them two members of Magellan's expedition as guests for the night. One of the two was Pigafetta. So, on the March 29 in 1529 of Holy Friday, Magellan sent his interpreter to ask the native king for food, supplies, and assured him they came as friends, not enemies. In response, the king welcomed them and later took two crew members, including Pigafetta, as overnight guests, marking an important step in their diplomatic relationships. On the third day, Saturday, March 30, Pigafetta and his companion had spent the previous evening feasting and drinking with the native king and his son. Pigafetta deplored the fact that although it was Good Friday, they had to eat meat. The following morning, Saturday, Pigafetta and his companion took leave of their host and returned to the ship. So on March 29, the third day, Pigafetta and his companion feasted with the native king and his son, despite regretting having to eat meat on Good Friday due to their Catholic beliefs. The next morning, March 30, they bid farewell to their host and returned to their ship, reflecting the hospitality they received and the cultural differences they encountered. The fourth day, Sunday, March 31, early in the morning of Sunday, the last of March and Easter Day, Magellan sent the priest ashore with some men to prepare for the Mass. Later in the morning, Magellan landed with some 50 men and Mass was celebrated, after which a cross was venerated. This passage describes an important religious event during Ferdinand Magellan's expedition. On Sunday, March 31, which was Easter Sunday, Magellan ordered a priest and some men to ashore early in the morning to prepare for a Catholic Mass. Later that morning, Magellan himself arrived with around 50 men and they participated in the Mass and the veneration of a cross. This event highlights the religious devotion of Magellan and his crew as well as their efforts to spread Christianity during their journey. On the fifth day of Sunday, March 31, on that same afternoon, while on the summit of the highest hill, Magellan asked the two kings which ports he should go to in order to obtain more abundant supplies of food that were available in that island. They replied that there were three ports to choose from: Ceylon, Zubu, and Calagan. Of the three, Zubu was the port with the most trade. Magellan then said that he wished to go to Zubu and to depart the following morning. He needed for someone to guide him thither. The kings replied that the pilots would be available anytime, but later that evening, the king of Mazua changed his mind and said that he would himself conduct Magellan to Zubu, but that he would first have to bring the harvest in. He asked Magellan to send him men to help with the harvest. So, this means that on March 31, Magellan asked two local kings which ports had the best food supplies. They recommended Ceylon, Zubu or Cebu, and Calagan. With Zubu being the busiest trading port, Magellan decided to go there the next day and requested a guide. Later that evening, the king of Mazua offered to guide him personally but asked for help with the harvest before departing. On the sixth day, Monday, April 1, Magellan sent men ashore to help with the harvest, but no work was done that day because the two kings were sleeping out their drinking bout the night before. So on Monday, April 1, Magellan followed through on his agreement with the king of Mazawa by sending men ashore to help with the harvest. However, no work was done that day because the two kings were still recovering from the drinking celebration the night before. This event reflects the social customs of the local rulers as well as a moment of delay in Magellan's plans due to cultural differences and festivities. Number 7 or the 7th day or the number 7 Tuesday, April 2nd and Wednesday, April 3rd work on the harvest during the next 2 days. Tuesday and Wednesday, the 2nd and 3rd day of April. On Tuesday, April 2 and Wednesday, April 3, Magellan's men assisted with the harvest as previously requested by the king of Mazua. These 2 days were dedicated to completing the agricultural work which had been delayed earlier. This cooperation between Magellan's crew and the local people highlights the friendly relations between them and the mutual exchange of labor and resources. The last day, Thursday, April 4, they leave Mazua bound for Cebu. On Thursday, April 4, after completing the harvest and fulfilling their agreement with the king of Mazua, Magellan and his crew set sail for Cebu or Zubu, what they called before. This departure marked the next phase of their journey as they headed toward one of the region's major trading centers where they hope to establish relations and secure more supplies. That's all for my topics. I hope you understand and learn something from it. Thank you.
Ito yung period competition among European rulers to conquer and colonize the land outside their domain. So initially, ang goal talaga nito is to find alternative routes by sea to Gate the Asia. Kasi yung Asia, yun yung main source of spaces and other communities, and mag-travel ka doon, lahat kasi na existence routes nung time na yun is by land. If you travel by it must costly, so our sea route due to Asia meant the European is good access the space trade directly, so greatly reducing costs for traders. Spain's major foray into the exploration was through Christopher Columbus, who proposed to sail westward to find a shortcut to Asia. He was able to reach the Americas, which was then cut off from the rest of the known world. Spain colonized part of the North America, Mexico, and South America in the 16th century. So they were also able to reach the Philippines and claim it for Spanish crown. Later on, other European rulers would compete with the activities of exploring and conquering lands. So it must also be pointed out that later on, after Magellan's death, the survivors of this expedition went to Mindanao and seemingly went to Butuan. In this instance, Pigafetta vividly described a trip in a river. But note that this account already happened after Magellan's death.